Oh, that's right. This meeting's being recorded, so I have to continue. Otherwise, I have to leave. Uh, so I'm basically going to go over just some awareness type things, some normal like household type objects you can use in the event that you need to use them for self defense. And then next week and the week after, we'll actually do some self defense type things, and like some hand strikes, some kicks, some techniques. I have beat up dolls. Well, they're not really beat up dolls, they're people, but they're my beat up dolls. And uh, I'll be using them as my assistants in the next 2 weeks. But this week, they don't need to be here. They are here, but they don't need to be here. So they're chilling in the dojo. But I want to just take a little bit of time to tell you guys also that when we're going through like the different bullet points, I'm probably going to give you guys some stories. They're not made up stories. Sometimes they are, but if it's like a real story, I will tell you guys. Uh, so we'll just jump into it. So let's start off with our awareness technique. So one of the biggest things that you have to be aware of when it doesn't even matter if you're out at the park, you're chilling at school, you have to just be aware of your surroundings. Okay. Always look to see what is around you, uh, the time of day that it is. Obviously, if we're all students, right? All of us, well, with the exception of like a couple parents, and I saw there was a doctor here. But for the majority of us, we're students. So a lot of the times we're going to be seeing desk type items, right? So, and that's going to be during the day. And make a note of that. Always make a note of that. You never know what you're going to need, in a self-defense situation. So always look at your surroundings, be like, okay, you know what? Let's say for instance you're at a park. What are things that you can use at the park if you need to? Well, sometimes there's rocks, there's sand, there's uh just random things you can use, pick up if you need to. uh and always look for, not always look for the suspicious person, but just look for the people that are there. Be like looking like, okay, that's a mom with her kid, cool, no worries there. Maybe, but then you see some like crazy creeper over there in the other corner, you're like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna be alert for that guy right there. And then make sure that you don't travel by yourself. Be like in a wolf pack. Wolves don't travel alone. So always have your pack with you. Uh I know if I know I'm going out with even if it's just to the park, I always make sure I have somebody, whether it's my mom, I make my mom come with me places, or I have my dog, and my dog is not exactly I mean, he looks cute, but you know, don't don't mess with him. He's 100 pounds of let me get you, dog. Uh, so always make sure that you have somebody with you, and then make note of the time of day. So let's say, for example, you went out with your friends to the movies, and one of your friends drives now, and their car is in this parking garage. Make sure that you're walking to the parking garage in a with a well lit pathway. Don't be like, oh, you know what? Because I know in like, do you guys go to Old Town Pasadena at all? I don't know. When I was a teenager, Old Town was like a big thing, and they always have like those really weird little alleys that you can go into. So we would always be like, oh yeah, if we cut through that alley over there, we'll get to the car quicker. Then there would always be the voice of reason, generally be me, like, no, let's go that way. Like, but it'd be shorter. I'm like, no, no. And so you have to respect your intuition with it too. So always be aware of what's around you and the time of day, where you are. um, for those of you that drive, now we have these awesome things in our phones that can actually, mark where you parked. So you have like a GPS type thing now on there on your phone. So yay for technology. Uh, and then, even though I kind of already went through this, but the second bullet point we have over here is, how is your environment going to influence your opinion and your options? So if it's at night, obviously I'm not going to go walk through some crazy looking like little shortcut alley to go somewhere. But, during the day, if I have a friend, we might be tempted to go through there, right? Because now there's daylight and we think, but don't, just always be aware of your environment. How does that influence what you're going to be doing? Use your voice. Oh my gosh. You guys can tell I'm pretty loud, right? Just by the way I'm talking. I'm Italian, so this is how I talk. This is it. I'm not yelling. You don't want to ever hear me yell because then I get really loud. But this is my normal speaking voice. So you have to think about your voice, and that voice will always go back to your environment and your surroundings. So if you're in a park, don't use your inside voice. Don't be like, "Oh yay, we're here." Just, be loud, be boisterous, use your voice. And then I always say, don't only yell help. You can yell help, but realistically, think about it. If you yell help, do you think people are actually going to turn around? It's very likely that nobody will turn around because help is not one of those words that people even think about anymore. So you can yell other things like fire, tsunami, free cookies, something that'll actually get people's attention. So don't just yell help, because that may not trigger anybody. But if you yell free cookies, they'll be like, oh, where? And they'll start looking for those cookies. So you want to yell something that's going to actually help trigger somebody looking. And then as soon as somebody turns around, to be like, help, I don't know this person. And then, and then of course, then somebody with their phone is gonna be like, oh, let me film this, So, and then the phones get whipped out super quick, 911. Chances of that person doing anything is going to be, oh, let me run in the opposite direction now. And then use your everyday items that you have with you. One of we have these smartphones, right? And they're not just smart because they can find our car and they have calculators on them, but you can use your phone as a weapon. Somebody gets close to you, use this thing. I've dropped this on my foot. How many of you guys have dropped it on your foot? Think about it. If you ever dropped your phone on your foot, that hurts. That absolutely hurts. Oh my gosh, I think I did like a some kind of a rain dance. After I dropped it, I was bouncing on one foot. So these things, your everyday items, your phone, a pen. We love our pens, right? I have pens with me all the time, mainly because I'm an English major and I always am writing down things. But you have pens. Use your pens. When we're in school, we have our backpacks which have notebooks, textbooks. Use those things to your advantage. I don't know if you've ever gotten hit by a textbook, but I have accidentally hit myself with a textbook once, and oh my gosh, it hurt. So think of those like everyday items that you can use. There's items in your room you can use. There's items you're wearing. I'm wearing a sweater right now because it's really cold. I'm actually in my dojo office and we have no heater in here because we don't. But I'm using a sweatshirt right now. I could use my sweatshirt as a weapon. So anything that you could possibly think of, use it. And I think we can go to that next slide.
Okay,
That's where it talks
yeah,
about some of this fun stuff. But actually,
yeah,
before we go to the next slide, does anyone have any questions so far?
yeah. Sorry about that. I swear. Okay.
So does anybody have any questions on any of this, like your general awareness, you know, things to scream at people, other than free cookies? I actually taught a class at Flintridge Sacred Heart on this particular subject, and somebody yelled, what did they yell? Oh, like we did a yelling exercise. Obviously, we're not going to do a yelling exercise on Zoom, but we did a yelling exercise. I told them yell anything, and the person yelled, "Do my calculus homework." And I was like, that would stop me because I can't do math. So, but just random things. Somebody yelled trash bag. I was like, what? But things, yell them loud. So now I think we can go to this next slide. So here are some specific self-defense tools that you can use. And Sela has put some pictures on there, which I really like that she put the pictures of. Uh, one of them is the Kubotan. The Kubotan is that thing that's over there in the corner with like all the keys. And ironically, that's what my keychain used to look like. I don't use a Kubotan anymore because, yes, Lisa, bear spray. We will talk about bear spray when I get to the bear spray. Um, but let's start with the Kubotan because they're basically they're they're about this big. They're not super long. You can put it in your purse. It actually makes it easier to find your keys, believe it or not. But uh I can tell you though for a fact that if you can fly to any state on the East Coast with one of these, no problem. Flying back, you have to actually you can't have it on your keychain. You have to actually, because on the East Coast, weapons of like a Kubotan, they have like a really weird weapon ban pretty much on the East Coast. So that would have to go into your luggage. So good thing to make a note of. In case you're flying to New York anytime soon or Massachusetts or anything like that. They have a weapons ban, so you can't do that. Um, like because I practice martial arts. I tried to go. I actually flew from LAX to Boston with nunchucks in my carry-on, no problem. They were in like their case, no problem. I had to actually go back and find my bag when I got there to Massachusetts because they said that I couldn't have them in my carry-on anymore. I'd have to go put it in my actual luggage. Like, but they're in their case. They're not coming. Yeah, but it's a weapons ban. I'm like, oh, okie dokies then. So no problems. Just put it in my bag. I was good. Uh, lipstick pepper spray. Now, I have a story about that. It didn't happen to me, but happened to my poor mom. I have lipstick, or I had lipstick pepper spray. It got thrown away now, but I had lipstick pepper spray. Somebody gave it to me. It actually kind of it looks like it's in a lipstick tube, but then when you take off the top, it looks like it's perfume. So my mom, she was like, "Oh, you know what? Michelle always really smells good." She saw the lipstick pepper spray on my counter in my kitchen, and she was there for some odd reason. I don't remember why. My older brother too. Oh, they were fixing my sink. So they were there. They saw it. My mom was like, "Oh, Michelle always really smells good. Let me spray a little bit of this." Oh my gosh, she sprayed it. She said her skin felt like it was burning, but she sprayed it next to the sink. And my older brother was under the sink. So guess what? The pepper spray went in his eyes too. So it works. I can tell you it works. Um, it's a good way to hide pepper spray. And we put a link on there for a place that you can actually go buy it if you need to. And we looked at a whole bunch of the stuff on this website. A lot of their things are very inexpensive. So it's something to think about. I know a lot of the college campuses, they actually sell these things, these types of items like the lipstick pepper spray. I've actually seen Kubotons, uh, things like that. They actually will sell them if you're going off to college anytime soon in bookstores. Like in the student bookstore, you could find there's a whole thing of stuff. Oh, hey, personal self-defense, cool. And it's there. It's there for you to buy. So it's these types of things are important to be able to have. Now, a flashlight. We normally just think of like a flashlight as like, oh yeah, it's dark. I can, when the lights went out here, boom, I've got this flashlight. But does anybody, I mean, and you can respond in the chat, does anybody actually have, like a pet? I've talked about my dog. Barely talked about him, but Cody is a big dog. He's a Aussie Shepherd Siberian Husky mix, so he's not this little cute dog. He's a 100-pound ball of muscle and fur. So he obviously has to go to the bathroom different times of the day, and sometimes we have to go and I have to take them for a walk at night, I always make sure I have a flashlight with me. And I make sure instead of having the flashlight that, has nothing, like the no cord, I always make sure I have one with a cord on it. And that's because I can swing it better. Cars can actually see that. So that is helpful. That way you don't end up becoming a pancake. Your dog doesn't end up becoming a pancake either. And in case you encounter somebody with their own, crazy idea, you have some kind of a weapon there. Flashlights hurt. If you end up having to smack someone with it, they will hurt. And then you can take off. It's just enough to stun them so you can run off in the other direction to get help. Something to also, this kind of ties in with the previous slide, is know your neighbors. Please know your neighbors, know who they are. So that way, let's say something like this happens, you can run to a neighbor's house. Like, for example, my mom, she grew up in, well, now it's pretty much it's East LA, but it was Glassell Park. And she was in 8th grade. She only lived like 3 blocks away from her school. She was walking home from school one day, and some person in a car was like, "Oh, your mother sent me to come get you." And my mom's like, "No, I don't know who you are." Like, "Yeah, your mother's selling Avon to my mother." That wasn't the case at all. My grandma was an Avon lady, but they didn't know anything about this person. So my mom ran to a house of one of her classmates, and she knocked on the door. "Oh, hi, grandma." And, grandma, this lady looked and she goes, "Oh, hi, sweetie," and starts hugging her like she knew her from, for all of her life. And she'd only met my mom like 2 years before. So know your neighbors. And then, going back to your flashlight though, let's say something like that happens and you have to run off, you can run off to a neighbor's house and just be like, "Oh yeah, please." And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, sure, come on in." And you're good. And you can wait there until, until you feel like the threat is gone. Uh Tactical pens. Have you guys Police tend to use these a lot. Tactical pens, uh they're good. They have them on that same website that has a lipstick pepper spray. I mean, it's a good weapon to have, especially because as people, we should have our own pens now with us wherever we go, especially with the current pandemic. So I always have my own pen because I don't like other people's germs. So a tactical pen would be really awesome to have and I think they're like $20. So they're not super expensive. And then I saw the comment about the bear spray. Now, bear spray, you can go get it at Big Five, at any sporting goods store. It's only like 8 flowing ounces. So that's like, this water bottle right here is 16 ounces. It's smaller than this water bottle, smaller than your general Aquafina bottle. You can put it in your purse, you can put it in your backpack. It will go up to 32 feet. So, in the event that you need to get somebody away from you, you can, if it's safe for a bear, it's safe for a human. Let's start with that. But it gets the threat away. And I personally like the bear spray over, even the lipstick pepper sprays because it creates further distance for you. The other, I think some of the pepper sprays only go up to like 8 or 10 feet. That doesn't give you a lot of distance. I mean, have you seen, our 6-foot social distance? That's not a lot. That's only like 2 to 4 more feet than that. 32 feet? Oh yeah. You're not getting near me. That gives me time to run off. So, do we have any questions about these specific tools? No? Maybe chat, put it in the chat or something. I'm looking at the chat right now. Yes, scream tornado, hurricane, earthquake, things like that. And then, so Naomi